Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Sessions. This is Paola Andrea Rodriguez. I'm a Latin sex therapist in the beautiful city of Miami. And today I am with Jen. I love her. She's amazing. First, I'm going to introduce who she is. Jen, also known as Jenergy, is a performance artist, movement teacher, self-healing guide, and CEO of Ecstatic Flow. Her mission is to empower humanity to remember true freedom and love through radical self-acceptance and through self-expression and authentic connection. Through her art, life, work, she aims to inspire others to move past self-limiting beliefs, creative blocks, physical injuries, and fears of self-expression. By overcoming one can really be their true self and reach a true sense of liberation so we can live in a harmonious, balanced, and open-hearted world. This is why she created Ecstatic Flow, so that people could experience the safe spaces for community members to have a transformational experience. So guys, I needed to say all that because it is so important that I say it. And guys, I met Jen out and about in this beautiful world. And when I saw her, I'm like, this is a woman that knows movement. This is a woman that knows her body. So in my field, we often talk about the dual control model of response. This is through the Kinsey Institute, where they talk about the ons of sexual response and the offs. And something that really hits the offs is body image, right? It's movement. So that's why I wanted to bring her in to talk to us a little bit more about that. But before we get into all of that, Jen, tell us what inspired you to do this work.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for having me. Thank you for creating these podcasts so that people can learn more about all of this. It's really potent medicine for the world. So thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you.
I feel you. I see you. I love that we just, found each other out and about, and you're just like, okay, here, please, so share. So that's amazing for you to just take that step and do this work. So thank you. And what really inspired me to get into this was actually recognizing my own deep fears and shame that I was holding around myself and my body image, which is a big thing that you are talking about right here. And not only that, but just around my sense of expression, my sense of connectivity with my own body and feeling very disconnected. So a major knee injury actually happened in my life where that kind of turned the course of my life around. And I started looking at myself and my life in ways where I was like, wow, there's so much I didn't do. I almost felt like I was about to lose my leg. It was pretty traumatic. And in that moment, I was like, wow, there's so much. And then I started getting into dance. I started having some spiritual awakening experiences and realizing the power of dance and connection with myself and the energy around me. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. And then once I started to kind of go into ecstatic dance and other places, I started to feel these triggers come up, and I started to feel like, wow, I'm judging myself. I'm judging what are other people thinking of me? All of these things started to come up, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm really disconnected. I'm really blocked. And I didn't realize that prior to that, but having gone into that, I started getting into my body more, having to do the knee, therapy and all this stuff, getting into my body, connecting with myself, and then realizing, oh my gosh, there's so much that I'm not looking at. And then I was actually at that time kind of depressed, drinking a lot, not feeling very connected with myself, and anxious as well. So once I started working through a lot of these inner traumas and wounds around my fears, around my expression, a big level of shame that I was holding around my expression, but also my sexuality. It's all connected. So our dance and our energy is our sexual energy. And so once I started to realize that, I was like, oh, there's a lot of stuff that I get to do. And it was really just a big step of moving through the uncomfortable sensations, not letting fear stop me, not letting fear judgment of others or my own judgment of myself because, oh, I look this way, or I'm too tall. When I was younger, I used to think, I'm too tall, or my boobs are too big. I was getting too much attention when I was at a really young age. I started closing my heart down. All these little things that I didn't realize were stuck in my subconscious. And then I'm walking around holding on to all this stuff. I had all these holding patterns and misalignment. The spine was not aligned. So then I really got into dance and realizing, oh, this is the way to open myself up. This is how I get connected. This is how I get connected with myself and others, because this is authentic and radical self-expression that really started getting me deeper and deeper into this work.
You guys, and you said so many good things, but then imagine, so I'm Colombian, right? And I think in our culture, we grow up with this saying, el que dirán, what will other people say? right? So this idea of judgment and this idea of shame, and I love how you're embodying when you said, you know, I was kind of hiding. There are certain parts of my body that I didn't accept. And you guys, look at my body. We can embody what that looks like versus when you went like this, right? And I already see her movement. This is why I love her, you know, because she's like, right? And I think, you guys, the emotional shame, you know, it's interesting. Many interviews that I have, people talk about the emotion of shame, because when shame runs the show, it says, I cannot let you see me because I haven't been able to fully see myself. Right? And so I think, you know, and also when you talked a little bit about the knee injury, right? You know, I have this shoulder thing. It's nothing major, but I have to do physical therapy. And I noticed that you have to slow down. So I imagine, I mean, your injury sounded pretty crazy. And so I imagine that slowing down, because we live in a world where it's like, when you slow down and really you are in the present moment, right? This is where a lot of things begin, I feel. And even when you think about, you guys, people dancing like salsa or bachata, you know, it's a very, you have to look in the eyes. It's a very intimate experience. You know, what would you say to people of all genders, you know, how could they start to do this work, to do more the physical work of letting their body free? What would you say to them?
I would say really first start by, you know, dancing is a huge part of it. I would say, you know, a lot of times we go out, we go to clubs, we're drinking and dancing. It may not be the same effect as if you can find an ecstatic dance in your city. If there's one here, you're welcome to come. I actually host it. But finding a safe space to explore movement, to explore yourself in ways that you may not have, or you may have been afraid to before, or ashamed of, is potent. And recognizing that it's incremental steps. So don't feel like, okay, you're gonna go in there and all of a sudden be free and you're infinite. You know, it's like there's levels to this. Like I go in, and every time I go, I still find a deeper level of expression within myself. I've been doing this for over 5 years now. And I went from a space of being like, I'm not even gonna go to my school dances because I'm so afraid of dancing, to now like being a professional dancer and getting paid to do this. So it's possible. This is like, there's infinite levels to this. And really what I recognized was like, oh, I was just holding myself back. And so it's recognizing when you start to feel those uncomfortable sensations of fear and shame and even guilt, because we have a lot of times we hold guilt around our happiness because, oh, people around us they're not feeling that, so I can't be that. I need to play small. I need to put myself down. It's like once you start feeling that, recognize that that's a limiting belief. That's a trauma. There's something, emotion stored in the body, and work through that. Don't let that stop you. You can work with people who do this like one-on-one to kind of like, I call it freedom coaching, and that's something I'm starting to kind of share about as well. And there's other people all around the world that do types of like holistic health coaching, and that can also guide you into this. But really having a practice of ecstatic dance and going into that consistently is super deep medicine, and that's really what did it for me.
Which I think it's so important for you to say that, because you guys, we live in a society of quick fixes, right? Like I do therapy all the time, and people come in and they're like, okay, but how do I get through that? Okay, but how do I, you know, anything important takes work. If you think about our lives, anything that we've accomplished that's big, it takes work. So I love this idea that it's a gradual buildup. You're gonna go to one dance, and like you said, or you're gonna go to one therapy session, and it's like, well, that didn't work because it didn't take all this stuff away. And whoever is selling you that idea, you know, look for another provider, because it doesn't work like that. Being able to gradually build a practice. I love that. And when you, I love some of the things that you said, and because when you talk about self-limiting beliefs, right? We're speaking the same language. I talk a lot about that with my clients. And like I was saying earlier, you guys, so, you know, let's think of a car, right? When we think about the dual control sexual response model, we have the accelerators and the brakes. And the accelerators is anything that stimulates you sexually. The brakes is whatever inhibits. Often people think when sex is not happening, we need to more accelerate. We need more toys. We need more partners. We need more lingerie. But there may be too much pushing on the brakes. So it's kind of going through life, driving a car with the handbrake on. So getting rid of, or no, let me reframe that, changing your relationship with those self-limiting beliefs or blocks. What are some that you see in your practice that people hold on to that doesn't allow them to let themselves free?
Yeah. A big part of it is really connecting with our inner child and seeing those areas in which the inner child is like a little bit afraid to express, because, oh, I don't want to seem like I'm a little girl again or something like that. And like, I want to be playful and wild and weird. And oh, no, that's not safe. They're going to judge me. So seeing like those little things where it's like the inner child just wants to express and be free, but you're telling it, no, you're not worthy of being seen. We're too old for this, these kind of things. And recognizing that playful energy allows the sacral chakra to open, that energy of the sexual energy as well, and our playful, creative life force energy. And that it's allowed, it's safe to be seen, it's safe to be felt, it's safe to be expressed.
You guys, inner child work, I cannot talk about that enough because, you know, think about, we were talking about the body that has shame and guilt versus a body that's playful and creative, right? And the way that I do therapy, I always talk about the inner child. People are like, yeah, but I don't need to talk about the past. I'm like, if you work with me, we're gonna have to talk about the past, right? Because there's so much there that we can find. I wonder, judging and constantly looking at parts of their body, you know, this is something that shows up a lot. Again, the two main things that hit the brakes is body image and stress. So any tips that you can give us, Jen? And you know, I almost hate when people ask me a question like, give me a tip. It's like, okay, there's so many and I don't know if I can get them all, but I'm asking you another question. So I don't know if you have, or any movements that you feel that would be helpful for us to get started with this work.
Mirror work, dancing in the mirror and connecting with ourselves in the mirror is so potent and powerful. When I started this journey, I remember someone asked me, oh, dance with yourself in front of the mirror. And I was so ashamed because it wasn't even like anybody else was watching. I was watching myself and I couldn't see it. I was like, oh, I'm so ugly. I'm this, I'm that. I can't move. I felt contracted. And to just love yourself through that process. So go in the mirror, have a practice with yourself, being with you and witnessing yourself. And if you start to feel those sense of like, oh no, I can't dance or I'm too ugly or this and that, start to reframe that in the mind. I am beautiful. I am an amazing dancer. I am connected with myself. I am free. Really affirm that in your being as you're moving. So you're literally embodying it as you're going into that potent practice, and have the practice of like, wow, just like witnessing yourself and even videotaping and then afterwards looking at it. And it might feel uncomfortable because sometimes I'm still feel like, oh, a little uncomfortable. And I'm like, no, I love myself. Like, this is me, because I fully accept and honor every part of myself. Because when I'm in resistance to even the slightest bit of myself, I'm in resistance to myself and I'm blocking my own self off. And why do we want to do that? You know, it's like we're taught that, we're programmed that, we're conditioned in society too. But this is about reconditioning, reprogramming, all of that to come into who we are truly.
And notice what you like. Notice what you like. Jen, so excited to have you here with us. Thank you so much for all that amazing information. And if people want to find you, they want to know more. I know that you mentioned that you had some stuff coming up, so please tell us.
Awesome, amazing. Thank you so much for having me. This has been incredible. Super excited to share with you all. Yes, if you're local in Miami, I have some events. So I lead ecstatic dance every other Tuesday, which is that practice that I was telling you about that has just really transformed my life. It's here in Miami, so it's at Inhale, and we're moving to a bigger space, Glassbox Ironside. So please connect with me. I also do stuff virtually as well. So if you're not here, we can work one-on-one, privately, or even in a group session. I call it Freedom Coaching Session. So connect with me on Instagram. My Instagram is Jenergy Flow. So Jenergy_flow. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Yay, guys. Thank you. And listen, don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you have not yet. Thank you y bienvenidos.